She was too weak to mount her own horse. The cowboy lifted her gentle as a whisper. The sun hung low in the sky, painting the dusty western town in shades of gold and amber. The wind whispered softly through the dry grass, carrying with it the faint smell of hay and horses. Clara walked slowly toward the stable, her steps unsteady and heavy. Each movement reminded her of how much her body had changed over the past months. She had once been full of energy, riding horses with grace and confidence, laughing as the wind whipped through her hair. But illness had slowed her, weakened her in ways that sometimes made her wonder if she would ever feel strong again. Her hand rested gently on the wooden fence as she paused to watch the horses in their pens. They moved with ease and strength, their hooves kicking up clouds of dust, tails swishing with a rhythm that seemed natural and effortless. Clara's heart ached with longing. She loved these creatures more than anything in the world. Riding had always been her escape, a place where she felt free and alive. But now even standing for long periods left her tired, and the thought of climbing onto a horse made her chest tighten with worry. Today, she had decided she would try. She had insisted in her own quiet way that she would not let her weakness define her. So she had dressed carefully, putting on the clothes she had once worn during long rides, the ones that made her feel like herself. Her boots, though a little too large after months of rest, were polished and ready. Her fingers trembled slightly as she reached for the saddle, the leather cool beneath her touch. She whispered softly to herself, a gentle promise that she would not give up. As Clara approached her favorite mare, a chestnut horse with a white stripe running down her nose, she smiled weakly. The mare lifted her head, ears pricked forward as if sensing the familiar presence. "Hello, girl," Clara said softly. "It's been a long time." She reached out to stroke the horse's neck, feeling the warmth of her coat beneath her fingers. A small shiver ran through her body, not from cold, but from the mixture of excitement and nervousness that always came before a ride. Clara took a deep breath and tried to lift her leg over the horse's back. She had done this countless times before, but now her muscles resisted. Her arms shook, her fingers gripped the saddle tightly, and she felt her knees wobble as if they were made of jelly. She tried again, summoning every bit of courage she had, but her body betrayed her. She froze halfway, unable to climb the rest of the way. Her heart raced, not from exertion, but from the sudden fear that she might not succeed. She felt the familiar sting of frustration and sadness, emotions that had visited her too often in the past months. From a distance, Luke, a cowboy known in the town for his quiet strength and kind heart, watched her struggle. He had been tending to the horses nearby, adjusting the fence and checking the water troughs when he noticed her. There was something about the way she moved, fragile but determined, that drew his attention. He recognized the struggle, not because he had ever been weak himself, but because he had seen the weight of determination in someone's eyes before. He knew when help was needed, even if the person trying didn't want to ask for it. Luke walked over slowly, his boots crunching on the dry dirt path. He kept his voice soft, not wanting to startle Clara. "Need a hand?" he asked gently. Clara looked up, surprised by the sudden presence but not frightened. There was something in his eyes, calm and steady, that made her feel safe, as if the world had paused just for this moment. She hesitated, unsure if she wanted to admit her weakness, but the truth was clear. She could not do it alone. I'm trying," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the breeze. "But I can't seem to get up there." Her words carried both shame and hope. Shame because she had always prided herself on independence, and hope because she wanted so badly to succeed. Luke nodded slowly, understanding completely. He moved closer to the horse, speaking softly to keep both Clara and the mare calm. "It's okay," he said. "We'll do it together." His hands were steady, strong, yet gentle, and he positioned himself carefully, offering support without forcing anything. Clara felt a mixture of relief and nervousness. She had always been taught to be self-reliant, and the thought of needing help tugged at her pride. But something in Luke's presence, a quiet confidence and warmth, made her trust him without hesitation. He instructed her to place her hand lightly on his shoulder, explaining each small movement. "Lean forward, put your weight this way, we'll go slowly," he said. His voice was calm, patient, a soft anchor in the swirling storm of her uncertainty. Clara followed his directions, her body trembling, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt the strength she had lost, the muscles that no longer obeyed her as they once did. And yet, with Luke's support, a glimmer of hope appeared. Perhaps she could do this after all. With careful precision, Luke lifted her, his hands gentle but firm, moving her up and onto the horse's back. The mare shifted slightly, sensing the careful handling, but remained calm under the soft command in Luke's voice. Clara felt a wave of relief and wonder wash over her. She was up, truly seated on the horse again. The familiar rhythm of the animal beneath her brought a deep sigh of comfort. It was as if a door to her old life had opened once more, letting in the sunlight she thought she had lost. Clara's hands rested lightly on the reins, her fingers brushing the soft leather, and she looked around at the rolling fields beyond the stable. The wind picked up, ruffling her hair, and for a moment she allowed herself to imagine the freedom of the rides she used to take. She remembered the sound of hooves pounding the earth, the smell of the wildflowers, the laughter she had shared with friends and family on sunny afternoons. All of it returned, sparked by the gentle strength that had helped her rise today. Luke stayed close, walking alongside the horse, his presence reassuring. He said nothing, letting Clara absorb the moment, the calm and the beauty of being able to ride once again. There was a deep respect in the silence, a shared understanding that this was more than just mounting a horse. It was a reclaiming of courage, of dignity, of a part of herself she thought had faded. Clara felt her heart swell with gratitude. She knew she could not have done it alone, and yet she also recognized something else. Strength could take many forms. It could be in muscle, in endurance, yes, but it could also be in kindness, patience, and the quiet support of someone who saw your struggle and offered a gentle hand. Today, she had experienced all of that, and it left a warmth in her chest that went far beyond physical comfort. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in deeper shades of orange and pink, Clara and Luke remained there for a while, taking in the scene. The horses in the pens shifted and nickered softly, as if acknowledging the quiet triumph. Clara looked down at the mare she had loved for so long, feeling the horse's steady heartbeat beneath her hands. She realized that this moment, fragile and simple as it seemed, was a turning point. It marked the first step in a journey back to strength, independence, and the joy she had feared was gone forever. Luke finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Whenever you're ready, we can take a little walk," he said. Clara nodded, a small smile breaking across her face. She felt a new kind of courage rising, not the reckless energy of her youth, but a quiet, steady courage that came from knowing she could face challenges and still rise, with a little help when needed. And so, with the sun setting behind the distant hills, Clara sat on her horse, lifted gently by a cowboy who had seen her struggle and offered strength with tenderness. The air was warm, the world calm, and for the first time in months, Clara felt alive. She was weak, yes, but she was also brave, and that made all the difference. Clara sat on the horse, her hands gently resting on the reins, feeling the warmth of the animal beneath her. At first, every small movement of the mare made her heart race, reminding her of how weak she had become. She could feel the muscles in her arms and legs trembling with the effort of keeping balance, but Luke walked steadily beside her, a calm presence that made the world feel less daunting. His shadow stretched across the golden fields as the sun moved closer to the horizon, and Clara found herself breathing in the fresh air, letting it fill her lungs, letting it remind her that she was alive. Luke spoke softly, giving her small instructions and gentle encouragement. "Relax your shoulders, let the horse feel your weight evenly. Don't try to control everything at once," he said. His voice was like a quiet river flowing alongside her ride, steady and soothing. Clara nodded, her fingers tightening slightly around the reins, then slowly letting go of some of the tension. She realized that this was more than just riding. It was learning to trust again, to trust the horse, and perhaps more surprisingly, to trust Luke, who had offered his help without hesitation. The mare began to walk forward, her hooves tapping a slow rhythm on the soft dirt path. Clara felt her stomach flutter, a mixture of fear and excitement. The ground moved beneath her in a way that was both familiar and new. Months of weakness had made every movement feel uncertain, yet she felt something stir inside her, a spark of confidence, fragile but real. Luke walked beside her, occasionally adjusting the reins or speaking a few words of reassurance. He did not rush her. He did not push. He simply allowed her to find her own rhythm, supporting her when needed. As they moved past the stable and into the open fields, Clara's eyes widened at the sight before her. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the rolling hills and illuminating the tips of the tall grasses in gold. She had forgotten how beautiful it could be, how much the world seemed to stretch endlessly beyond the small town. The air smelled of fresh grass and wildflowers, with a faint hint of horses and earth. She felt as if she were seeing the world anew, through eyes that had been dulled by months of sickness and limitation. Luke's presence was a steady reassurance. He kept his hand lightly on the horse's bridle when needed, guiding them through uneven patches of ground. Every so often, he would glance at Clara, making sure she was comfortable and safe. His patience and careful attention allowed her to relax further, to trust that she could lean on him without fear of judgment. She realized that there was courage in accepting help, in letting someone walk beside you when you are learning to find your own strength again. The mare began to pick up a slow trot, and Clara felt a thrill that she had not experienced in months. The wind brushed against her face, cool and refreshing, and the rhythm of the horse's steps beneath her brought a deep sense of connection. She laughed softly, a sound that surprised her with its joy. Luke smiled at her, a warm, gentle smile that mirrored the kindness in his eyes. "See, you've got it," he said. "Just keep breathing and follow her lead." Clara nodded, feeling her chest swell with pride and happiness. As they continued, the fields stretched endlessly, dotted with wildflowers and small clusters of trees. Birds flew overhead, their songs mingling with the soft whisper of the wind. Clara felt as if she were part of something larger, a world that had waited patiently for her to return. She reached down to gently stroke the mare's neck, feeling the smoothness of her coat and the steady beat of her heart. The connection between rider and horse felt profound, as if the mare understood her struggles and was carrying her not just physically, but emotionally as well. Luke led them toward a small hill, the ground rising gradually before them. "Take your time," he said softly. "You don't have to rush, we'll go together." Clara felt a slight fear at the thought of going up, but she trusted Luke and the mare. She adjusted her posture, her hands on the reins, and felt the horse respond beneath her. Step by step, they ascended, and with each movement, Clara felt a growing sense of accomplishment. The weak, hesitant feeling that had weighed on her just hours ago was slowly lifting, replaced by quiet strength. At the top of the hill, the view was breathtaking. The sun was almost at the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink, orange, and lavender. The town lay in the distance, a cluster of small buildings, but here in the open fields, everything felt infinite. Clara's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of joy and gratitude. She had been afraid, unsure if she could ride again, yet now she sat on the horse, feeling a connection to life she had thought she had lost. Luke stood beside her, silent, giving her space to experience the moment fully. They stayed there for a few minutes, letting the wind carry their quiet thoughts. Clara felt a profound sense of peace. She realized that this ride was not just about riding a horse. It was about reclaiming herself, piece by piece. Each step, each gentle sway of the horse beneath her, reminded her that strength could return even if slowly. And sometimes, strength did not mean doing everything alone. Sometimes, it meant allowing someone kind to guide you until you found your own footing. The ride down the hill was just as gentle. Luke's hand guided the reins lightly, ensuring the mare kept a calm pace. Clara leaned into the rhythm, her body beginning to remember movements that had felt foreign only hours ago. The wind brushed her cheeks, and she felt a sense of freedom that was almost intoxicating. She laughed again, louder this time, the sound carrying across the fields. Luke chuckled quietly beside her, pleased to see her joy. As they moved further into the fields, they passed a small stream. The water glistened in the fading sunlight, and the sound of it flowing over rocks added another layer of calm to the scene. Clara felt a sudden desire to reach down and touch it, to feel the cool water on her fingers. Luke nodded encouragingly, allowing the mare to slow as they approached. She dipped her hand, feeling the refreshing chill, and for a moment it was as if every worry she had carried was washed away by the water. The mare nickered softly, and Clara smiled, feeling gratitude for this gentle creature that had carried her through so much more than just the fields. Luke led them back toward the path that would take them to a small grove of trees. The sunlight through the branches created patterns on the ground, and Clara found herself marveling at the simple beauty of it. She realized how much she had missed these little details, the quiet wonders of the world around her. The ride was teaching her not only to regain her strength, but also to notice life again, to find joy in small things she had once taken for granted. As they approached the grove, Clara felt a surge of confidence. She guided the horse lightly, letting her take small turns, and Luke stayed close, offering only gentle guidance when needed. The sense of partnership between rider, horse, and helper was profound. She felt seen, supported, and capable all at the same time. She realized that courage was not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it was quiet and steady, growing with each small step. By the time they returned to the edge of the fields near the stable, the sun had nearly set. The sky was a deep purple, dotted with the first stars of evening. Clara's body was tired, yes, but her spirit was invigorated. She had ridden farther than she had thought possible, both physically and emotionally. Luke helped her dismount, his hands gentle and steady. Clara stood on the ground, feeling solid beneath her feet, grateful for the support but also proud that she had ridden herself, even if guided. She looked at Luke, a soft smile on her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know if I could have done it without you." Luke smiled, his eyes warm. "You did all the work," he said. "I just helped you find your balance. You had the courage all along." Clara realized that he was right. The act of riding, of trusting again, had been hers. Luke had simply walked beside her, a quiet guide in her journey back to strength. As they led the horse back to the stable, Clara felt a sense of accomplishment unlike any she had felt in months. She realized that healing was not just physical. It was emotional, mental, and sometimes spiritual. She had begun to reclaim herself piece by piece with gentle guidance and the courage to try. The mare nickered softly, as if understanding the journey they had taken together. Clara reached out to stroke her neck once more, feeling the deep bond that had been reinforced today. And as the last light of the sun disappeared behind the hills, Clara understood something important. Freedom and strength could return, even after weakness. They returned slowly to the stable, the mare walking calmly, Luke beside them, both silent and comfortable in each other's presence. Clara knew that this was only the beginning, that the journey ahead would have its challenges. But she also knew that with trust, patience, and courage, she could face them, and perhaps even find joy along the way. Clara felt a strange, new energy coursing through her body as she sat atop the mare. Each step of the horse beneath her was a reminder of strength returning, of balance regained after months of uncertainty. She had grown used to leaning on Luke's quiet guidance, but now she began to notice her own hands, her own instincts, gently taking the lead. The fields stretched endlessly in front of her, glowing with the soft light of the late afternoon sun. The air smelled of earth and grass, sweet and alive, and she breathed it in as deeply as she could, letting it fill her lungs with a feeling of freedom she had almost forgotten. Luke walked beside her, his presence steady and reassuring. He said little, allowing Clara to feel the horse's rhythm, the sway of her body in motion. Every so often, he would glance at her, checking that she was comfortable, offering a small word of encouragement or a gentle adjustment of her posture. But mostly he let her ride, letting her rediscover the joy of movement on her own. Clara's chest swelled with pride. The mare beneath her moved with grace and certainty, carrying her across the golden fields, and she realized she was no longer afraid. They reached a small rise in the land, a gentle hill that looked over the surrounding fields. Clara felt a thrill of excitement as she guided the mare toward it. "You've got this," Luke said softly. "Just let her take the lead." She nodded, letting her hands rest lightly on the reins. The mare stepped carefully, and with each movement, Clara felt her confidence grow. Her legs, once shaky and unsure, now held her more firmly, her back straightened, and her mind felt clearer than it had in months. The act of riding again was more than physical. It was a reclaiming of herself, a quiet triumph over the weakness that had weighed on her. As they reached the top of the hill, Clara looked out across the fields below. The sight was breathtaking. Long stretches of golden grass swayed in the breeze, dotted with wildflowers of red, yellow, and white. A stream sparkled in the distance, winding through the landscape like a silver ribbon. She felt as if she could stay there forever, perched on her mare, watching the world stretch out in quiet beauty. She laughed softly, a sound of pure joy, and Luke smiled at her from beside the horse. "See," he said, "you're doing wonderfully." Clara's hands rested lightly on the horse's mane as they began to descend. She felt a slight rush of adrenaline as the mare picked up her pace, moving confidently down the slope. The wind rushed past her face, brushing her cheeks and lifting her hair, and she felt as if she were flying. For months she had been trapped in weakness and fear, but now she was moving freely again. The mare's steady gait and Luke's careful guidance created a rhythm that felt like music, a melody of strength and trust. Clara laughed again, louder this time, and felt her heart swell with happiness. As they moved further into the open fields, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Clara pointed to the horizon, marveling at the way the light caught the tops of the trees and the tips of the grass. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Luke nodded, watching her with quiet satisfaction. "It is," he said, "and you're part of it now. You've earned your place out here." Clara felt a warmth in her chest, not just from the words, but from the truth in them. She realized that strength was not measured by speed or endurance alone. It was measured by courage, by the willingness to face fear, and by the gentle trust she now placed in herself and others. The mare's hooves made soft, thumping sounds against the earth as they continued their journey. Clara leaned forward slightly, feeling the rhythm of the horse's steps beneath her. She began to notice small details, the way the grass bent under the wind, the hum of insects in the fields, the distant calls of birds returning to their nests. She felt present, fully alive in a way that she had not felt in a long time. Luke walked beside her, watching her with quiet pride, his eyes reflecting the same serenity that filled the fields around them. They came upon a small grove of trees, their branches forming a canopy of shade. The mare slowed as they approached, sensing the softer ground beneath the shade. Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her. She reached out to stroke the mare's neck, feeling the warmth of her coat and the steady beat of her heart. "You're amazing," she whispered softly. The mare nickered in response, and Clara smiled. In that moment, she felt connected, not just to the horse, but to the world around her, to Luke walking quietly beside her, and to the strength returning within herself. Luke guided them gently through the grove, pointing out small details along the way. "See that bird's nest up there?" he said quietly. "Life keeps going no matter what happens. You're part of it too." Clara nodded, feeling a deep understanding in his words. She realized that healing was not a race or a competition. It was a journey, and every small step mattered. Every moment of courage, every small victory added up to something larger, a life regained, a spirit restored, a confidence rebuilt. As they left the grove, the mare picked up a slow trot again, and Clara felt her heart lift with exhilaration. She leaned lightly into the movement, letting the rhythm of the horse guide her. Luke stayed beside her, offering a steady presence, reminding her that she was capable. She began to feel a deep sense of independence returning, a sense that she could ride on her own, make choices, and trust her instincts. The mare responded to her touch, to her guidance, and Clara realized that this was a partnership. It was a dance of trust, strength, and gentle communication, and she felt proud to be a part of it. The fields began to change as they moved further. Wildflowers became more abundant, and small hills rolled gently in the distance. Clara felt a sense of adventure rising within her. She pointed to a distant hill, her eyes sparkling. "Can we go there?" she asked. Luke smiled and nodded. "We'll take it slow," he said, "step by step." Clara felt a thrill of excitement. It had been months since she had felt this way, free, unafraid, excited for what lay ahead. The mare began her careful ascent up the hill, and Clara felt her body adjusting naturally, muscles responding with strength she had thought lost. At the top of the hill, Clara paused, looking out across the landscape. The view was spectacular, fields stretching endlessly, the sky painted with warm hues, and the wind whispering softly. She felt as if she had climbed not just the hill, but the mountain of her own doubts and fears. Luke walked beside her, his eyes gentle and encouraging. "Look at you," he said softly. "You've come so far." Clara smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. She realized that the journey was far from over, but she had taken a major step forward. She had faced fear, embraced help, and found joy in movement again. They began to descend the hill, the mare's steps careful and steady. Clara felt a sense of exhilaration mixed with calm, a balance that was rare and precious. She guided the horse lightly, feeling the rhythm and strength returning within her. Luke stayed beside her, offering guidance only when needed, and she realized that this was how trust worked. It was not about dependence, but about partnership, about knowing that someone could walk with you while you rediscovered your own strength. As they continued through the fields, the sky deepened to shades of purple and blue. Stars began to twinkle faintly, and the air cooled gently. Clara felt a sense of peace and accomplishment that she had not experienced in months. The ride had become more than just physical. It was emotional, spiritual, and deeply freeing. She laughed softly, feeling the wind on her face, and realized that courage, joy, and freedom could all return even after weakness. Luke guided them back toward the stable as night began to fall. The mare moved calmly, sensing the familiar path. Clara felt a sense of completion, a satisfaction in having ridden so far, faced so much, and discovered strength within herself. She looked at Luke, gratitude and joy in her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly. "I feel alive again." Luke smiled, his eyes reflecting pride and warmth. "You did it," he said. "You found your strength. I just walked beside you." As they returned to the stable, Clara's heart was full. The mare nickered softly, and she reached down to stroke her neck, feeling the connection and trust that had grown between them. Luke helped her dismount, his hands gentle, but she realized she could have done it herself now. She had ridden, truly ridden, with courage and confidence. The fields, the wind, the horse, and the quiet guidance of a kind presence had reminded her of the joy and freedom she had almost forgotten. That night, as Clara watched the stars begin to shine over the town, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. The ride had been more than just a return to horseback. It had been a journey of healing, trust, and courage. She realized that strength could take many forms, in the body, in the heart, and in the courage to accept help. The world seemed brighter, more alive, and she knew that tomorrow, and every day after she could carry this feeling with her, growing stronger with every step. Clara walked beside the mare, feeling the cool evening breeze brush her cheeks. The ride earlier had filled her with a sense of freedom she hadn't felt in months, and yet she knew this journey was more than just the physical act of riding. It had become something deeper, a journey of self-discovery, courage, and trust. Luke walked beside her, calm and steady, letting her take her time to adjust and absorb the day's experiences. The fields around them were bathed in the soft glow of twilight, the colors shifting from gold and pink to deep shades of purple and blue. The mare's hooves made soft, rhythmic sounds against the dirt path as they walked slowly toward a small stream. Clara paused to watch the water shimmer in the fading light, its surface reflecting the colors of the sky. She knelt slightly, dipping her hands into the cool water, feeling the refreshing touch against her skin. Luke stood quietly beside her, watching her with a gentle smile. "It's good to take moments like this," he said softly. "To notice the little things." Clara nodded, realizing that she had forgotten how much joy there was in small, simple moments. The world had seemed overwhelming during her illness, but now each detail, the gentle flow of water, the rustling of leaves, the steady heartbeat of her horse, reminded her that life could still be beautiful. Once she had finished at the stream, Clara stood and returned to the mare's side. She placed her hand on the horse's neck, feeling the warmth beneath her palm. The mare nickered softly, leaning into her touch, and Clara smiled. She had learned so much today, not just about riding, but about patience, trust, and courage. Luke noticed the expression on her face and said quietly, "You've come a long way, not just on the horse, but inside yourself." Clara felt a lump rise in her throat. She realized he was right. This day had been a turning point. She had begun to reclaim the strength and confidence she thought she had lost forever. They continued along a path that led to a gentle rise overlooking the town. Clara guided the mare slowly up the slope, her hands steady now, her back straight. She felt a thrill of independence as she controlled her movements with confidence, while Luke walked beside her, offering only the occasional word of advice. "Remember to breathe," he said softly, and Clara laughed, realizing how much she had learned to trust herself. The hilltop revealed a breathtaking view, the town below small and quiet, and the fields stretching endlessly beyond it, bathed in the colors of twilight. Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her. The mare stood calmly, sensing her rider's emotions, and Luke remained close, his presence steady. She realized that strength was not only in physical ability, but also in patience, courage, and the willingness to accept help. Luke had been there every step of the way, lifting her gently when she faltered, walking beside her when she needed reassurance, and giving her space when she needed to feel in control. Through his quiet support, she had discovered a confidence she thought was gone forever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara guided the mare down the slope, feeling the rhythm beneath her. The wind brushed against her face, carrying the scent of grass and earth. She laughed softly, a sound of pure joy, feeling alive in a way she had not felt in months. Luke's presence beside her was reassuring, his quiet smile reflecting pride and warmth. The ride had become more than just an activity. It had become a journey of self-discovery, trust, and emotional healing. Clara realized that courage was not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it was quiet, steady, and deeply personal. The mare carried them further into the fields, moving confidently as Clara guided her. She felt her heart expand with joy as she noticed details she had missed before. The flutter of a butterfly's wings, the soft hum of insects, the gentle rustling of leaves. Luke walked beside her, pointing out small wonders and encouraging her to take in the world around her. Each detail reminded her that life was full of beauty and that she could experience it fully again. She felt gratitude for Luke's presence, for the mare's steady companionship, and for her own growing courage. They reached a small grove of trees, the sunlight filtering through the leaves in gentle patterns on the ground. Clara guided the mare slowly beneath the canopy, feeling the shade cool against her skin. She looked around, noticing the way the branches intertwined and the leaves danced in the breeze. "It's like a secret place," she whispered, feeling a deep sense of wonder. Luke nodded quietly, giving her the space to explore the moment. Clara felt a profound connection to the world around her, the earth, the horse, and the quiet strength she had found within herself. As they continued, Luke suggested they take a small detour to a hidden path he often rode when he wanted solitude. Clara agreed, feeling a sense of adventure and trust in him. The path led them through gently rolling hills, with wildflowers lining the way and birds singing softly in the trees. Clara felt exhilarated, guiding the mare with confidence, her hands steady on the reins. Each step of the horse beneath her reminded her of the strength returning to her body and the courage growing within her heart. The ride brought them to a small hilltop overlooking a distant river, the water glinting in the last light of day. Clara paused, taking in the view. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Luke nodded, standing beside her, quiet and steady. "And it's even better when you've earned it," he said. Clara realized that he was right. She had earned this moment through patience, courage, and determination. She had faced fear, embraced help, and rediscovered the joy of movement and freedom. The mare nickered softly, and Clara leaned down to stroke her neck. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a deep bond with the animal that had carried her through so much more than just the fields. Luke smiled, watching her with warmth and pride. "You've done wonderfully," he said, "and you've done it all with grace and courage." Clara felt a tear slip down her cheek, a tear of joy and gratitude. She had learned that strength could take many forms, in the body, in the heart, and in the courage to accept help when needed. As the evening deepened, they began their ride back toward the stable. The mare moved calmly, sensing the familiar path, and Clara felt a sense of completion and accomplishment. She guided her gently, her hands steady, and Luke walked beside her, quiet and reassuring. The ride had been more than a journey through fields and hills. It had been a journey of self-discovery, healing, and trust. Clara realized that she had reclaimed something precious, her courage, her joy, and her sense of independence. When they reached the stable, Luke helped Clara dismount, his hands gentle and steady. She stood on the ground, feeling solid beneath her feet, proud of what she had accomplished. She looked at Luke, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly. "I feel like myself again." Luke smiled, his eyes reflecting warmth and pride. "You've done it," he said. "I just walked beside you. You've always had the strength inside." Clara realized he was right. The courage, joy, and freedom she had rediscovered were hers. He had simply guided her, letting her find her own balance and confidence. The mare nickered softly as Clara stroked her neck one last time, feeling the bond they had formed. She whispered a quiet promise to the horse, a promise to ride again, to grow stronger, and to cherish the freedom she had found. Luke watched silently, giving her space to connect with the animal and the moment. Clara realized that healing was not just about physical strength. It was about trust, courage, and the willingness to accept support while finding your own way. That night, as the stars began to twinkle over the small town, Clara sat quietly by the stable, feeling a deep sense of peace. She thought about the day, the ride, the hills, the stream, the grove, and the moments of quiet trust and courage. She realized that this journey was only the beginning, that there would be more challenges ahead, but she felt ready. She had discovered that strength could return, that freedom could be found again, and that joy could bloom even after months of weakness. Luke remained nearby, watching the horses settle for the night. He looked at Clara and smiled quietly, proud of the progress she had made. "You've come a long way," he said softly. Clara smiled back, feeling a warmth in her chest. She realized that the bond she had formed, with the mare, with Luke, and with herself, was something she would carry forever. It was a reminder that courage, trust, and gentleness could guide you through even the hardest times. As they prepared to leave the stable, Clara gave the mare one last affectionate pat, feeling gratitude for the animal that had carried her through both fear and freedom. She turned to Luke, her heart full. "Thank you for everything," she said. Luke nodded, his smile gentle. "You did all the work," he said. "I just helped you remember what you were capable of." Clara realized he was right. The strength, courage, and joy she felt were hers, discovered through patience, trust, and a willingness to embrace life again. That night, as she walked home with the memory of the ride still fresh in her mind, Clara felt a sense of completeness. She had faced fear, embraced help, and rediscovered the joy of movement, independence, and connection. The journey had been more than a ride. It had been a reclaiming of herself, a quiet triumph over weakness, and a gentle reminder that courage could bloom in the most unexpected ways. She knew that tomorrow, and every day after, she would carry this strength with her, growing braver, freer, and more connected with the world around her. And in the quiet of the evening, with stars shining above and the wind whispering softly through the fields, Clara felt a gentle certainty that even in moments of weakness there was hope, there was courage, and there was the quiet, unwavering support of those who cared. She smiled softly to herself, knowing that she had found her way back to life, freedom, and joy, and that nothing could take it away.